The pre-foreclosure winter is coming. For the past 21 months, foreclosure filings have been increasing. And what this basically means for you in wholesaling real estate is there's going to be a lot of foreclosures coming in the market, a lot of pre-foreclosures coming in. And most importantly, this means that there's going to be a more huge swath of these super motivated sellers coming into wholesaling real estate. And if you know how to overcome dealing with pre-foreclosures, if you know how to talk to a pre-foreclosure seller, most importantly, actually how to market to pre-foreclosures with this huge opportunity, you are set to make a ton of money in wholesaling real estate. Most wholesalers, they look at a pre-foreclosure, they scoff, they roll their eyes, but honestly, you got to understand that since the start of the panoramic, that's what I'll call it, the sickness, I can't say this word on YouTube, pre-foreclosures were pretty small. It's basically tripled since that time. And it's insane to think about. I don't know any other lead source where the list of that has tripled. And we're going to see more and more with it going on, especially with interest rates rising, maybe holding steady, but we obviously don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But we do see on the rise, there will be way more pre-foreclosures coming in. And if you know how to make a ton of money with these pre-foreclosures, you'll do well. The pre-foreclosure winter is coming. You know, that they say winter is coming. The craziness is going on. Game of Thrones reference, right? And it's honestly true for wholesaling real estate. We got a lot of pre-foreclosures coming down the pipeline, and we got to figure out pretty quick, you know, what are we going to do? How can we actually utilize this for wholesaling success, and how can I profit off of it? Like, that's the point here. Most wholesalers, I will tell you, they probably don't understand this, or they don't read the data or understand it. And really, that's what we got to do today, is really break it all down. So what am I talking about? What am I doing? What am I talking? So let's just share this up. This is from Adam Data. So Adam Data's got a lot of really good real estate data. And basically, this is what it is. So here's the article. Basically for Q1 2023, and we're Q2, 3 here. In Q2 and 3 here for 2023, obviously we can see it here. Basically, pre-foreclosures are on the rise. And so foreclosures, pre-foreclosures before they hit that foreclosure process, but the filing part, that's kind of the notice of defaults, things like that. So we see the increase on here. Let's zoom in the data here and just show you, this is foreclosure filings. So let's increase this here, just so we can see this. This is from the Adam team. Basically, if you could see how foreclosures work and how the whole process and how the whole data, so you can look at it. Basically 2005, regular stuff, we're about 100, getting a little nuts, we're in the 150s here. So nothing terrible, right? But that was like peak still. Like that was a good amount. That was a lot. And then obviously during the crash and everything spiked, everything went out of control, things went crazy, and then everything kind of normalized. It kept going down, kept crashing. For the pre-foreclosure deals just kept going down. There's just less and less and less of them, right? And then roughly here when I started wholesaling, they were insane still, but they just kept going down. And then when the sickness started, right, and all that stuff happened, we're basically pretty much at rock bottom, right? And they basically stopped people from doing that. And now, laws have loosened up, things have gone crazy. So things are it's a lot easier to start filing foreclosures. Now, I'm not seeing this huge spike up to like millions and millions and millions, but it's still, going from, 30,000 all the way up to like you're still tripling it up. And as you can see here with the data, it's going up, right? It keeps spiking up, and it is trending still towards up. And you got to figure out how to be doing this, right? And so basically reading this up, the report shows a total 36,000 foreclosures March 2023, up 20% from previous month. So about 20% month over month and 10% from a year ago. So still, it's the 23rd consecutive month with a year-over-year increase in U.S. foreclosure activity. Despite efforts made by government agencies to reduce foreclosure rates, we're seeing an upward trend in foreclosure activity. Chief Executive Officer at Adam. This unfortunate trend can be attributed to a variety of factors, such as rising unemployment rates, foreclosure filings making their way through the pipeline after 2 years of government intervention, and other economic challenges. However, with many homeowners still with significant home equity, this may help in keeping increased levels of foreclosure activity at bay. So it's definitely still going to keep rising. That is just something that's not going to happen for the foreseeable future that it goes down. We got to understand this, right? And so we had about 65,346 U.S. properties started with the foreclosure process in Q1 of 2023. And so we're looking at this right here. It's up about 3% from the previous quarter, and then 29% from a year ago. So still rising from when you look at it. So the top states, this is pretty similar to just the population, got Cali, Texas, Florida, and New York and Illinois. I mean, this is basically, it's in proportion to the amount of properties and people living in it. So not the craziest ones. These metro populations with a population over 200. It's that the highest foreclosure rates are in Illinois, Delaware, New Jersey. So if we're looking here, let's see here, about 1 out of 762 housing units with a foreclosure filing. Got Delaware, New Jersey. And so that's just in proportion. So not crazy. But we're looking at this with the highest foreclosure rates for this quarter, the previous couple quarters. Fayetteville, North Carolina was one of them. Guys, Fayetteville, North Carolina. Rick was talking about it yesterday, his top 5 markets on his personal channel. Guys, Fayetteville's ripe for the pre-foreclosure. So if you're in that market, oh my gosh, it's amazing, right? You got Cleveland, Ohio, which is up there. Atlantic City, which is okay. Columbia, South Carolina, amazing. And Bakersfield's decent, right? See it going up. You look at completed foreclosures basically from the bank. That keeps rising. You can see that REOs, and we're going to get into that because that's not the best for wholesaling. And then average data completed foreclosure pretty much has been rising. So foreclosures are they're taking a while to get going, right? And so you have 950 days. It's insane. So foreclosure times take a while. And if you can wholesale in those periods, it's good. But basically the longest foreclosure times we've seen is Louisiana, Hawaii, New York, Kentucky, and New Jersey. Usually that is basically how backlogged the courts are sometimes, and the shortest ones are when a foreclosure, let's see here, Wyoming, Minnesota, Montana, Texas, and Arkansas. And then basically I just like looking at the takeaways here so we understand what's going on, what markets are good for it, what markets are bad for it. We've seen here, Illinois has got the highest rate. We're looking at the numbers here. And then this is basically the data by state. So if you're in your state, you can take a screenshot, go check it out, see where you're at on this, just to help you understand the numbers here. But so we got rate rank and all this stuff. So all I got to do is look at the Q1 percentage from previous quarter and then of last year. So if you look on Alabama, they actually have less pre-foreclosures, but if you look at Alaska's got a tiny population, right? But Florida, 1% over last year, but over last quarter, it's up 16%. So these are the recent ones that are really running up like crazy. And the small states, not much, but 34% for Mississippi, right? Ohio, here's the concerning part. Every market's always a little different. But like in Ohio, yeah, from a year ago, it's not much change, but from previous quarter, it's going up. And so that's kind of recent trends on there. So they're pretty good with their methodologies on here. And really, as you can see throughout the entire economy here, let's show this one too. Basically, I'm just not telling you, I'm not going after one, but as you can see here, we got a bunch of articles talking about upticks in trends and things. Basically, this is just for Florida though. And so we're seeing the affordability thing going on here, and they're trying more things on here, but with the rates rising, a lot of people don't want to go somewhere else. But honestly, what I've personally found in wholesaling real estate, the rates are not really going to affect it much. If someone's got a pre-foreclosure and an issue with the property, it's going to happen. I don't care if they locked in a 3% rate. If they lost their job, it's going to be a pre-foreclosure. So once we understand that stuff, we got to understand how to go after it and how to wholesale houses with it. So if you do go to freewholesaling.com, so quick little plug here, that's my free real estate wholesaling course where I teach you how to wholesale houses, stick it for free, bottom right-hand corner there. You go to the pre-foreclosure section. In the pre-foreclosure process section, you're going to see this pretty simple. We have this graphic, always talk about this graphic, right? Oops, where in the world am I? All right, basically, this is the pre-foreclosure process so we can just understand it, okay? The pre-foreclosure process is pretty simple. You have a seller missed about their first payment, maybe one to 3 months, right? They are in what we call a pre-foreclosure. They're getting letters from the bank. They're being angry. I mean, nothing crazy like nuts is happening here, but you just got to understand that it'll start happening. So about 120 days, about 34 months of missed payments, they are in that pre-foreclosure. It's not a foreclosure. It's not getting foreclosed on yet, but it is happening, right? And then in between the foreclosure and the auction date set, we have something called the wholesaling window of time. This is the best time right now to market to these sellers, sign that contract, assign the deal, get some deals, get it before there's an auction. Because once they set that notice of default and they start getting the public notices going on, so the notice of public record, everything's filed, the notice of default, the list pendants, things like that, the auction date will be set eventually. Once the auction date is set, it's not impossible for us to wholesale those houses, right? You can still wholesale them, but just understand that it's a lot harder to do. Once that auction date's set, then your seller's gonna be like, okay, now I'm gonna finally want to sell now just because there's an auction date, and then there's sometimes not much you can do, which kind of sucks, but it's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. And then really from there, you got the foreclosure, auction, REO, basically when the banks sell it, and they just get what's owed at minimum. Sometimes they take the property over themselves. Most sellers will deal with you 3 to 7 days before the auction. Now, there are redemption periods in some states, but that is very specific. Look up at the redemption period in your state. Remember, at freewholesaling.com, we break down foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, how they work out the perfect way. But really what you got to understand about that is this process, right? Most of your sellers are going to be in denial. Oh, I don't want to sell my property. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to do it, blah, 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 right? Of course, they don't want to deal with it. They will tell you they want to actually start selling it right before, like the week of the auction, and say, okay, I want to sell it now. Because guys, people get in pre-foreclosure not because they're the most proactive sometimes. A lot of procrastination to get in that financial situation. And usually they're procrastinating to the end until they get rid of the property. We still want to deal with people that want to get rid of the property, but there's a lot of motivation because they got to get rid of the property. So we love pre-foreclosures. They're great. So this is what we've seen. You know, pre-foreclosures are spiking every single month. Slowly but shortly, right? It's happening. So, surely. What am I writing? Slowly but surely. All right. I did this morning. So, all right. Slowly but surely, it is going up. And unfortunately, with the macroeconomic environment we're going on, we're seeing unemployment slightly rising. I didn't look at the last unemployment. Let's look at the last unemployment numbers, and we could see unemployment numbers for the previous. So it looks like unemployment is pretty stacked. It says the unemployment ranging from here. Here's the data. It looks like unemployment, yeah, it's pretty much the same, 3.4 to 3.5. So I was wrong on that. So I stand corrected there. So it's not the unemployment that's spiking. It's mostly, I mean, just being honest, probably I would say the economy, right? So of course the unemployment's pretty much the same. It's still decently low, but I would say with inflation, with a lot of people not being able to afford things, that it's most likely that, right? One thing on top of that too, I would say with increased foreclosure filings is just with the inflation being crazy, that's probably one of the most common ones. And the economy, you know, the unemployment rate's fine. Like it's not crazy, but we got to understand a lot of people leaving the labor market. That is popping up too. And those are people not in the unemployment rate. Don't get me started on the unemployment rate because that's such a weird, stupid statistic. But people jump out of and they just don't want to get jobs. And some just want to, you know, get the government assistance. It's still spiking. So those are numbers that aren't in that data set, which kind of sucks, but it's fine. But we see with inflation going up, a lot of people they can't make ends meet and they just got to get rid of the property. And sometimes they'll go with you for a wholesaling deal, right? That's kind of the point here. But slowly but surely, we have been seeing for 21 months straight that it does keep increasing. And it's still up 10% from previous month over month. And then you see it keep going up. And so pre-foreclosure is going to keep going up. And that's what we got to understand. So last month versus this month, there's more pre-foreclosures. Next month, there's going to be more. And you just see the trend going up. Until I see a dip, I'll let you guys know. But this basically means that this list is just going up. Can you imagine if the high equity list or the probate list has triple more leads now than it was from a couple of years ago? That would be insane. There's more probate deals. Oh my gosh, I'd love that, right? But you know, probates are basically when people pass away. Those stats don't spike up like crazy for wholesaling real estate, you know, in the past decade. So we're not going to see that. And really, this is a phenomenon in wholesaling real estate that I haven't seen since the tired landlord. So when the panoramic started, I say that word, not the pan, you know, the other word, because YouTube doesn't like me saying that. And I don't look at this video off air. But basically what that means is so many people couldn't evict their tenants. And that was an amazing list for wholesaling. And those tired landlords that spiked like crazy. And it's just something I took advantage of. But in wholesaling real estate, you know, high equities don't do that. Probates don't do that. Vacant properties don't do that. But for the one really easily available list that has tripled the amount of those type of leads, pre-foreclosure is basically the only one. And I want you guys to get that through your head that pre-foreclosures are the most motivated leads. And they're actually not that difficult to wholesale. If you do the right marketing, you can get in front of them pretty easy. And the best part about pre-foreclosures is they cost $0 at all to start marketing to. And that's the point of this video. It literally costs no money to go out here and start wholesaling pre-foreclosure deals. And the one thing I want you guys to understand is pre-foreclosure leads are, and I will say they are, this is hands down, the toughest list to cold call. Because remember, if they're behind on their mortgage payments, that they are getting loan sharks calling them, financial servicing companies, realtors. You got everyone contacting these pre-foreclosures. I'll help you save your property. Here's, give me a loan, you know, refi the property, blah, 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 right? You get all this stupid stuff. This is the toughest list to be cold calling. Hands down in wholesaling real estate, it's the hardest one. That's why I don't do it. That's why I don't talk about it. That's a big rookie mistake a lot of people have is they cold call the pre-foreclosure list, right? cold call is highly on the list instead. But remember, if no one's answering the phone, because these pre-foreclosure sellers, when I used to go on appointments, these pre-foreclosure sellers would get like 5 phone calls in like 30 minutes. They just don't answer their phone anymore. But guess how they communicate? They will read all the texts that they get. So guess what that means? Text them, right? You could text them. You can send them some direct mail. There's a lot of things to do. So when you are doing pre-foreclosure leads, how do you go out here and market to them, right? Number one, I'll tell you, there's just 3 ways to go contact a pre-foreclosure for wholesaling real estate. I have found it to be reverse trying for dollars. I found it to be direct mail and SMS text blast. Reverse trying for dollars is basically putting a sticky note on the property. You drive, you see a pre-foreclosures, you kind of put a list on there. Now it costs $0 to do reverse trying for dollars too. You can go on Apple Maps, Google Maps, whatever you want, and just put 5 pre-foreclosures on like stops, or you can use an app like dmzach.com just to pop it up like that. Hey, give me a list of all the pre-foreclosures, pop it in, make a little route, and then just drive on there, put the sticky notes. Hey, this is Zach. I got a quick question about the property. Please give me a call back. Pretty much as simple as that. And then that works too. You can send some letters, you can send postcards, but I've personally found SMS text blasting to be the best one. That's personally what I found. And then, every time I mention the word, it's been a hot topic lately on the channel. I don't know why, but every single time I talk about SMS text blasting, there's always 3 or 4 people that do this. Oh, here we go. Zach's telling me to SMS text blast. He probably wants me to spend $4,000 a month on SMS text blasting. That's right. I get that all the time. They all cry and scream at me. And guys, if you actually go to freewholesaling.com, which I beg everyone to do, I don't know why, but they always do this thing. They just cry because I can't do SMS. I don't have the money. You can do SMS text blasting absolutely for free. It costs no money to SMS text blast. Now, there's paid ways to do it, right? You use SMSact.com and send thousands and thousands a day and get a lot of great deals, but you don't have to do that. I want you to understand that there is a free reverse drawing for dollars SMS pre-foreclosure method that I always talk about. I always tell everyone to do it, and nobody stinking listens to me except for a select few of you. And then I get you on my podcast because you're like, oh my gosh, I listened to Zach's advice and I made hundreds of thousands of dollars and I'm 19 years old. Wow, right? And then I literally interview these people and they're like, hey, what did you do? I actually listened to what you said. And I know most people don't do it, but I did, and I did well. It's shocking to me that people actually listen to what I have to say and they actually end up doing well. Crazy, right? So let's get into my free reverse driving for dollars SMS pre-foreclosure method. It is not crazy. It's not this crazy complicated method that, the gurus want me to make this complicated. I ain't gonna make it complicated. So this way basically it is, all right? You go, so first of all, how do I find the pre-foreclosure list? The pre-foreclosure list you get from your public records. So if you want to do it for free, you go to your public records. We're going to do it completely free right now, okay? You go to your public records. You go to the county clerk of the court. Let's say I'm in Dayton, Ohio. We're going to go to the Montgomery County, Ohio public records. So you can either do it online or you can do it basically by going in person. So we go in person. We want to look for the notice of defaults, and then we want to go out here and notice for the list pendants. So list pendants, notice of default. List pendants is basically a Latin term, and that's basically when they are proceeding with a motion to do something pretty serious on a court action. And so basically what this means is we're going to go out here and we're going to get any of those leads, all list pendances, all notice of default on sellers. And most list pendances will be pre-foreclosure, some won't. Just got to make sure and kind of read it, make sure. Usually the notice of default of list pendants is with a company that has, that they get loans out. So Quicken Loans, Bank of America, Chase does this. And really, what you got to look at when you're getting this data, make sure the loan that the person is behind on is over like $50,000. So what does that mean? So the average house in Dayton, Ohio is probably like 140, 130, maybe 180. I mean, there's $1 million houses in Dayton, right? But like the average one's like 150, 160. And so if there's a loan amount for notice of default for like $2,000 from Capital One, it's most likely not a loan. Yeah, that's probably a credit card one, but I just letting you know that it's probably one you should be going after, but it's mostly not that, right? And usually when you're getting this data, there's a property attached to that court filing, which you get for free too. But if the loan amount's like $75,000 or $100,000, that's probably not a credit card. Most credit cards for the average Joe don't go up to that amount. And so it's fine, right? And that's like Chase, and Chase gives out, they give out loans and stuff like that. So that's fine. Bank of America does that. There's financial mortgage companies, right? It's pretty easy to do, right? If you go to freewholesaling.com, actually, when I mentioned that podcast, that kid that made $700,000, guess what he did? This is a shocking statement, but he only went after probate pre-foreclosures. I have a video. This is a classic video I have on the freewholesaling.com basically free wholesaling course. And I literally go behind the computer for like an hour and I say, okay, we are going to go out here and look for the probates, and we're going to look for the pre-foreclosures, and we're going to call them. That's all I did for an hour. It's on freewholesaling.com right now. You just go over my shoulder and watch me do it. It's amazing. Like, it's crazy, but I actually did that. And then he did that and then did really well with it, right? Wink, wink. You should probably do the same thing. But like, I just went through it. I show you, okay, this looks like a mortgage. This looks like a credit card. I show you the real data. And unfortunately, it has to be at freewholesaling.com, not on YouTube, because YouTube does not like me giving personal data out, but I don't really care. Freewholesaling.com got you covered. And so basically you get that information. You basically, I mean, you can get their phone number, right? But basically what you want to do is just do reverse drawing for dollars. So you get all those properties, you go create. So honestly, I just got to show you on my phone, right? Just so it's really easy for you to do. So I do Miami, right? And I'll do directions to Miami. Okay, I'm not giving out my personal location. Okay. So I don't know if it can be seen here, but I just did Fort Lauderdale to Miami. There's a little thing right here called add stop. All right. Let's see here. I added a stop right there. So I clicked add stop. And when I click add stop, I can actually add extra addresses. So I can drop, like, this is crazy right here, but I can drop like 50 addresses if I wanted to. So I can add like 15 properties and it can give me a route that's the most effective. And then I'm just going to go to that person's house. I'm going to stick a sticky note on the property and just guess what I put in the sticky note? Hey, this is Zach. I had a quick question about your property. Please give me a call back. Literally all I write. That's literally all I put down. That's it. And then what I do on top of that, this is a very, 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 very important part, is I take my phone, I take a picture just like this. I go, boop, 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 boop. Take a pic of the property. I go to truepeoplesearch.com. I find their phone number, and then I send that phone number a picture of the property, and I say, is everything okay? My partner just drove by and he saw this. Literally, you text it so they actually contact you back. Oh yeah, that's the owner. What's going on? You probably get an angry call. You just want the response. Trust me. More responses, more sellers, more deals. Hey, my partner just drove by the house, or my partner had me drive by the house, and it seemed like something that we were actually looking to purchase. Like, this is in our criteria. Just seeing if you're looking to sell the property at all. In the neighborhood, we saw it. Seems like something we want to buy. Maybe a good rental for him, for us, right? Maybe something we could flip, right? Whatever, because your cash buyer's going to flip it, right? And I'm telling you, you could probably, so with regular SMS text boxing, you got to go through all these hoops and stuff. That's why SMSZach.com is direct to carrier. You got no opt-in, no TWILIO, none of that stupid reply stuff. That's why I love SMSZach.com. But you don't have to deal with any like cost at all, because you can send about 30 or 40 texts from your phone and it doesn't come up spam, none of that stuff. You just got to stay under 30 to 40. If you send 30 out for a month straight, you send 1,000 SMS pre-foreclosures, there's a good chance you're going to get some really good quality leads, and heck, maybe even deal from doing that. So this is why it's super, 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 super important you use my free reverse drawing for dollars SMS pre-foreclosure method. It's so underrated, but you can send thousands of texts absolutely for free. You can send thousands of texts absolutely for free with this method. So go out here and do it. If you want to learn exactly how to pull that list and things like that, go to freewholesaling.com. If you want to pay for it, you can use like listria.com, zachdata.com, dmzach.com's already got them in there. And that's how I do it. And that's how we attack the pre-foreclosures, guys and gals.